We are live. We are live. Welcome to the game plan. By Life with Shenita talk show. Excited to have this conversation today. It's gonna be a little bit different. A little bit different. No guests on today. To some people that might be a bummer, but to a lot of you guys that know us, is we about to get into it. It's gonna be a man to man conversation, and I'm excited for what we about to talk about today. And I'm just kind of share that. For one, we are always grateful to be on Life with Shanita, and she has allowed us to have this platform to be able to talk our talk, share the experiences that we have had, share experiences that we've had with other people, inviting people onto her platform. So I want to just give a great deal of gratitude out to Dr. C, as we like to call her. And I think that I know that she's doing some major and some big things. I know she had an amazing podcast last week. I hope you guys was able to check it out. And she talked about a few things, I believe, in an aspect of fatherhood and whatnot. And so, last month we was talking about the women, Mother's Day, and things of that nature. We had a couple podcasts on Life with Shanita about women, but guess what? It's time to talk about the man,
Yep.
and that's what we talking about today, Lynn.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So as Quez mentioned, we're glad to be here. Another show, another day, another Thursday. And let's get right into it. Y'all tuned into the game plan. And the
Game.
game plan is to hear the perspectives from the minds of professionals and uncover their objectives and motives. Sharing knowledge amongst each other can further develop our mindset as well as success. What has been put down must be picked up. Inspiring and uplifting is the goal, and that's exactly what we came to do. Quez, let's get into it.
Let's get into it, man to man. Let's. We talked about this is a man to man conversation. We
Right.
talked about this month is about men from a standpoint of having Father's Day, and I believe that oftentimes I have conversations with people, and this is also the topic that we have today is lifelong friendships, and just to start out, let people know, hey, me and Lynn, we've been knowing each other for a long time,
10
and
plus.
so yeah, like over
Plus.
10 years, and it's crazy. I actually was having a conversation with a guy, Mr. Run. So let me tell you, Lynn, when I think Dr. C invited me to an event to go and to vent and do what I do from a financial standpoint, and it was actually Miss I forgot her name, but it was a event that we went to, and when we went to the event, I ended up getting introduced to Mr. Ron. Mr.
Right.
Ron, I ended up having a conversation with him, and he ended up telling me he's actually like an angel investor or whatnot. We had a conversation. He was telling me about his granddaughter, and he was telling me how his granddaughter is like 7 years old, but she's very, very smart. Like when she meets him, like when she gets in the car, she said, "Hey, granddaddy, like let's do the financial literacy flashcards, right? The flashcards got credit, it
Yeah.
got all type of stuff on it." And she's so excited to learn about that type of stuff. She's playing chess, right? At 7 years old. Think about this, right? And
7.
so 7, bro. And so I'm listening to and it's like Mr. Ron was pouring in his passion behind, how much he loves his granddaughter. And he was telling me that regardless of which side of the family that she went on, everybody would pour into her,
Right.
right? And I told him, I said, I heard this quote from George Fraser. He said that it's better to raise a child in a bad neighborhood with good parents than
Hmm.
a good neighborhood with bad parents.
Right.
And so what I mean by that, and the reason why I'm saying all that is that fatherhood is one thing, but your environment is a good thing as well, right? And I think that when you got both of those hand in hand, you can really be able to lead and create great young men. And I don't know what you think about that, but I feel like we are products of that. How you feel?
Yeah, definitely. So, as you mentioned, a village, the village, your environment, it shapes you out to be who you eventually become in life, or what you're trying to become in life. So, you have people pouring into you, especially if it's positive. Even if it's negative, you have the ability to know what is good, what is bad. You know what I mean? And as you grow older, you can act on those things. You can just become a better individual. So, like you said, we had that growing up. lifelong friendship is the name of the show. We've been friends for 10 plus years, but we also have another group of friends. Well, we have a group of friends. It's about 7, 8, right? Something like
Right.
that.
It's a lot.
7, 8. And just imagine if you're friends with these people for 7, 8 years or 10 plus years, you're really family. You're connected. You know what I mean? And you just have these types of conversations, these bonds that not many people get to have, and we were blessed to have it. And it's just amazing to see all of us thriving now. Able to just adapt to any situations. Everybody's doing something positive. If anything negative comes our way, we can most definitely tell you like that's not it. We're not going to do that, or we just stay away from it. And it's just amazing to me, just to see what we're becoming and how we're moving along within this life. And
Yeah.
so, go ahead, brother.
Nah, when we say what we how who will be who are we becoming, how we moving along, you
Right,
know, with us, what we like to do, we like to go out, network, and we speak to a lot of people. And so we hear some common things oftentimes about, hey man, like you guys are doing good, or you're doing fairly good at what you guys are doing. I don't really see a lot of young people. Sometimes I get, man, you give me hope for this generation. I mean,
right.
I'm telling you, I almost lost hope. But here, listen to you, I guess. And so when you hear that type of stuff, I'm like, okay. And I'm curious on like, I want us to talk about like where does that come from, right? Like how are we able to, we know we talked about the environment, we talked about the village standpoint, but how have we been able to position ourselves in a way to be the man that we are at this young age
Right.
and plant a seed that can allow us to become something that's much bigger in our future and actually have the future at our forefront. But like how do you feel like that, or what do you feel like, what else do you feel like kind of cater to really who we are today?
I would say just not being complacent or not allowing our the people around us to be complacent.
Yeah.
Like we all want to be somebody, we all want to be something. So we want to get around those things that will help us be something. I was talking with one of my mentors this morning actually, and he was telling me, he was saying, don't ask how to do it.
Mm,
It's what do I need to do to get here or get there? Because when
mm,
you ask how, it's kind of like begging in a way. But if you know what to do, then just do it. Just like we
yeah.
mentioned, if you wanna get pumped, if you want to get fit in the gym, what do? You research. You know what I'm saying? What do I need to do to get fit in the gym? Like
Right.
you just there are certain steps you need that you need to take that can eventually get you to where you want to go. So it's just a matter of just doing it and just seeing it. I mean, we have social media where you can access so many things, see so many online mentors, online teachers, just examples that you want to be when you grow older. So I think it comes from that, and also just having like a drive, a resilience to just be anything other than normal. We're not trying to be normal. We're trying to be great, and we're working towards greatness. So I think that's just where it comes from. And also the village. The
Yeah.
village
Village.
definitely plays a part in it. And then as we grow older, we continue to build our village because we all branch off into different careers or areas and fields. So we have to find people that are in our space that we can also create a village in that space as well, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. I like what you said, because you pointed out some great points regarding having resiliency, being able to stick it through, and just doing it. You just you gotta do it. But you know, when we talk about a village and the people that are surround us, I think about some key people that have played in my life as far as like mentors, things of that nature. And I'm trying to think. Me and you both, I know that's one commonality. When me and you both, we played sports even just from a young age, and like we had people like coaches. I think me and you actually just had a conversation, and we talked about one of your coaches had mentioned something about, I forgot exactly what that was. You remember what it was that you said your coach had shared with you, and he was like, you actually kept that. If anything, you
Oh,
remember, you
yeah.
kept that. What was it?
So this is my coach at Alabama State. Shout out to coach. His very famous quote was, "Never let your highs get too high, and never
Mm,
let your lows get too lows." And that
yeah,
stuck with you all throughout life because you want to have balance. Well, not even necessarily. I wouldn't even say balance because to me, balance is not really. I'm not gonna say it's not achievable, but I mean, it's always gonna be something that's rocking left and something that's rocking right. So it's not gonna really be stable. No, you know what I mean? It's not gonna always be balanced. So it's just like you have to, I guess you can say, be humble. Um,
Mm.
just be aware of where you're at. Stay grounded, and that's just like it. Definitely stay with me because I'm a freshman. I'm coming in fresh out of high school, and I hear that, and then I start hearing it again, and then I start hearing it again, and it's just stuck with me, and it's still sticking with me to this day, and I still use it to this day.
How did that shape your relationship with him, or just your relationship with men that are more, I would say wise or experienced? Like how did that shape how you look at people, other men from a leadership standpoint?
Right. So when you have somebody leading you like that, letting you know that you need to watch how you act or watch just how you operate as your as one. You know what I mean? How you operate. It just if it gives you like a sense that somebody actually cares. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Especially if it's your coach. Your coach is telling you this. You can be one of the best players on your team, but he gonna remind you never let your highs get high, never let your lows get too low.
real
So
talk.
it's just a matter of like, wow, like it's kind of like you getting checked by somebody
Mhm.
who's actually in a, I guess you can say a position that you potentially want to be in once you get, older one day. So it's great, and it can be used in all aspects of life. It doesn't have to just be on the sports field. It can just be business world, work environment, teaching your kids. It goes on. It's like an effect that can just branch out into so many different areas.
Yeah. I want to shift a little bit, as we talk about person development.
Yeah.
Um, so today I'm listening to something, right? And basically what it was a video, and the video was Birdman. So Birdman was in a prison, and he
Yeah.
was talking to the prisoners. You heard about it?
I didn't watch it, but I know what you're talking about. What did he say? I didn't see it.
Birdman was in a prison, and he was talking to the prisoners, and he asked them like, "Hey, I can help you guys out. What you guys need, right?" Guess what this man said? So the guy, the dude asked, "What you guys need?"
Yeah.
Guy stand up, chest out. I'm glad somebody came here and asked this question, right? He didn't say that, but this is how confident he ready to put it out there, let them know, like, all right, bet Birdman came to give us some grace. Let's do it. All right, Birdman, this we want.
Yeah.
We want some books, Birdman. We need some books in here, man, because when we get the books, he going at it. Because this we get to with the books. Guess what Birdman said? He said, "We don't need y'all don't need no books. You ain't finna do nothing with no books."
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on, what?
Yeah. That's backwards. To me, that's backwards.
I'm like, what? Are you like what did you think about that when you saw that headline?
I mean, I I don't know what to say about that because Birdman is successful. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? But maybe he didn't use books to get successful, but a lot of knowledge is in books.
yeah.
So I guess that would be like maybe that's just his opinion. But me personally, and I know you as well, we love reading books. We love continuously learning. And books are definitely like A1 to have. Like you should, especially if you're just think about people that's incarcerated. They're
Mhm.
locked in a cell or they're just limited to what they can do. Like, of course they want a book. They might go through 1,000 books before they get out, or maybe even more. And when they come out, they can have so much knowledge. And that just goes to be like that can even start a village in the jail. Like
Yeah,
a book club. You know what I
right.
mean? And then when somebody gets out, all the knowledge they have from the book club can just be transitions to whatever they do in the civilian world. But what about you? Though? I know you love books. Let's talk about some of your favorite books. I know you read like 3-4 books at a time. I know y'all see the books in the background.
Yeah. Nah, books, I believe, because one thing we talk about from a leadership standpoint, um, I'm gonna go a couple of different routes just to kind of piggyback off of what you said. Um, People talk about, well, for one, I'm gonna just throw this out there. We talk about Birdman and not necessarily liking books. That's not the first time I heard that from successful people. Like, first of all, Kanye said the same thing. He actually said the same thing. We know the situation, how people feel about Kanye, but I remember watching like a 3 hour long podcast with Kanye on Joe
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan podcast,
Yeah.
And bro, I thought that was like 4 years ago. I thought he was just brilliant. And that was he is brilliant, first of all. But anyways, I think him not reading books, I feel like you can get life experiences that can do a lot. Like I remember, like I know, like think about the other type of mentors you probably had. And I think a lot of mentors, we talk about having a father. For one, my dad, when I have conversations with him, I remember one time, something that stick with me just from a couple road trips we've been taking recently. He said you gotta have three type of different sights, right? You gotta have hindsight, right?
Mhm.
You gotta have insight, and then you gotta have foresight. And when I thought about that, he broke it down to me. I'm like, man, that's good. That's good.
I
Right.
like
But when you realize that my dad, he does read, but as far as reading as much as like maybe we may do, or maybe I do or not,
Mhm.
I realized that there's certain wisdom that I can get from people that just had experiences compared to just trying to talk to somebody because they studied a lot. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah. I definitely agree. And I want to say, just like, how can I word this? Somebody who reads a lot, they may know about it, but they haven't experienced it. So they really can't, they can tell you based on the book, but they can't tell you based on experience. And we all know
Yeah.
experience is the best teacher.
Right. Yeah.
So damn, that's good. But you said with hindsight,
Hindsight. You gotta realize that. Look, hindsight, and I hopefully I'm interpreting this correctly, but hindsight is realizing that there could be understanding your past and how has that has shaped you where you at right now.
right,
And understanding has went in from a hindsight perspective, understanding how that can creep up on you in a way to affect you where you at right now and also where you're going. Insight in a way that you understand where you came and where you at, but kind of utilizing that gut feeling to make to make those prompt decisions. Then foresight, realizing that okay, I got to be able to see it before it actually happened.
right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and when he broke it down, that was pretty cool. But even along the lines when we talk about mentorship and leadership, like I'm all about leadership. And I think that's one leadership I have for my parents in general. But then we talk about other leadership. You had asked me a question, right? Your question was the books I read, right? So I think about my dad mentors, right? As I call it, the books, my dad mentors. And so this is you just a random question that you asked me. So I got to think about who's the books. If I was to throw a first one out there, the first one I think about, and he's actually not deceased. Well, Napoleon Hill is deceased,
Uh-huh.
but Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice. Dennis Kimbrough, he actually wrote the new version for Black individuals. So I would put that. That's definitely up there. Let me ask you. If you throw one at me, maybe I can think of another one.
Whoa. I didn't. What's that one? I didn't hear about that one.
I gave it to Brandon. Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice.
It's not. I thought you were saying they redid the book.
So Think and Grow Rich is this is the original Think and Grow Rich
Yeah,
by Napoleon Hill.
got you.
Right? So he wrote this book, and yeah, he's actually deceased, and I feel like he's pretty good. But this is like the book that most people read when it comes to personal development.
Mhm.
However, Dennis Kimbrough, which the last podcast we had our guy on from InvestFest. What's his
Uh,
name? Uh,
Jovi.
Jovi.
Yeah.
Jovi talked about another book that was called like Black Wealth or something like that.
Uh-huh.
That book is by the same author. Dennis
Gotcha.
Kimbrough wrote that book, but he also wrote The Think and Grow Rich and Black Choice as well, where he helped co-author that with Napoleon Hill or whatnot. But yeah, so that's I would say that's one of the books that I would say. What would you say?
So for me, um, it's like a series of books. You have the Four Agreements,
Mm,
which definitely helps out with personal development. Never assume. Always do your best. Um, it's two more I can't think of, but the last one the one that I'm reading now, I'm still reading it. I've been reading it for a minute. It's called The Fifth Agreement. It's all about, so let's go back to the beginning. We talking about village and you talk about what's instilled in you.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're young, a lot of things are instilled in you, but you have no control over them because
Mm-hmm.
it's your village telling you based on the experience that they had, the knowledge they have, they're going to give everything to you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
as you get older, you have to reprogram your brain. You have to make decisions on your own. You have to figure out what's right for you, what's
Yeah.
wrong for you, but it could be right for somebody else. You know what I mean? So the fifth agreement is just about reprogramming your brain from what you have been taught, what you have experienced from when you were younger, where you didn't have much knowledge on what was really going on.
Mm.
That's definitely one of my favorite books, even though I haven't finished it yet. And then I also have to throw in the top one. You already know what it is. I've been told you to get it.
Oh
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Uh, I can just show y'all real quick. Hustle harder, hustle smarter.
There we
You know,
go.
50 by my guy 50 Cent. It's one of the best books. I probably read it. I got it Christmas of 2023. I probably read it about 7 times already.
Yeah. 7 times.
7 times. I can't stop reading. It just gives you like a different type of drive, a different type of, I don't even know. It's like no fear. That's another thing too. You can't have no fear
Mm-hmm.
when you just going through, I guess you can say, life. You know what I mean? There's no need to fear how you mentioned you have to envision it before it happens. If you want to be something, whatever you want to be, you have to envision it. I was just literally doing this on Tuesday. I was with my mentor. He was in the office. He was telling me, there's a group of us. He was telling us, he said, let me know what you want to be in 5 years, how you want your life to be. What's your goal for 5 years? Then he said, take 30 seconds out of 30 seconds right now and envision it. Just envision everything. And then, you know what I'm saying? That's when you want that's what you, whatever you want to be or whatever you see, that's what you need to become, but you need to act. And it's just, you need to act now. So that's just a great thing. And it's just consistent learning. Well, not consistent. Well, consistent learning and constant learning, which
Yeah.
is the same thing, but
Yeah.
can't do.
No, I was gonna mention. I think because a lot of times we talk about or people bring out manifesting and if you put your mind into it or stuff like that, right? And I
Yeah.
remember like listening to a lot of people say, utilizing words as manifesting and a lot of those trigger words that kind of get people like, you one of them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it throws a lot of people off. And I was having a conversation the other day with one of our friends, and we were talking about her experience, or the experience that kind of shaped where she was going. And she shared with me that she ended up going on this spiritual experience with her mom. And she said that when they was at this experience, they had them just literally get in a calm state and they would just visualize like how they wanted their life to be 5 years, 10 years. Just
Yeah.
visualize, right? Whole day, they writing stuff out, writing what this would look like, right? And when she told me that, and she told me how that shaped a lot of things for her. And when she said that, I'm like, man, that's good,
Yeah.
right? And I realized that a lot of times too, everywhere I go, every time I'm a part of somebody else that's doing something monumental from a successful standpoint, they bringing up, oh, you got to have imagination, or you got to have visualization, right? When I read Think and Go Rich, part of beginning a few chapters, first few chapters, they talk about having imagination, right, and being able to visualize before you can actually make something come to truth, right? I'm curious, like when you think about that aspect of being able to see it, I think you mentioned that being able to see it before it can actually happen, like as a man being a leader and being able to have leadership in certain realms and spaces that you're in, how important is that for a man, and how important is that for you to be that leader in a family business? How important for you to have that type of imagination? Like, how you feel about that?
Yeah. So we talk about being a man, right? You talk about leading, providing, protecting. You got to have some type of vision.
Mm.
Can't just be out here with no GPS. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing where to go. Gotta
Yeah,
have some type of GPS,
that's
some
good.
type of view, some type of goal, some type of some type of something, some type of direction to get to wherever you're trying to go. This is like if you go into a city you never been before, how you gonna get there without a GPS? You know what I
That's
mean?
it.
If we can relate this, I can break this down to the T.
Yeah,
You, if you wake up every day and you don't know what to do, then you waste your time thinking what I need to do instead of having it already planned out. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that's your vision is already set for the day, for the
Mm.
week. You know what I mean? Whatever. So it's very important. And Quiz, we took on the. I'm gonna shift it a little bit because it can still relate to this. But we took on a journey of doing one of the hardest things that people say it is to do, or not many people do,
What's that?
and that's entrepreneurship.
Mm.
I mean, like a lot of people tell us, man, I don't know about that, man. You need to go get a job. Not saying there's nothing bad with getting a job, but like we imagine the life that we want to live.
Mm-hmm.
We already envisioned that. And now we're setting a path, we're being intentional about what we want to do to get it. And it's through entrepreneurship. And so, I mean, like, just think about and talk about like what changes you had to make or what obstacles you had to go to realize that you want to be an entrepreneur and how you're going to do it.
Yeah, that's good, man. If we were to lay out principles, steps of, because like we only can talk about where we've came, right?
Right.
And where we where we're going. But where I've came from is as is crucial, is as important. I think I don't know if I remember this quote right, but it's better to measure yourself backwards, or where you came from, than where you feel like you should be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And really take time to reflect on, because when you have, that's what it goes back down. Now I'm understanding what my dad said about hindsight, insight, and foresight.
Now break
Because
it down.
when you take time to think about what happened in the past, right? And measure yourself, man, I came a long way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you think about, man, like that has shaped who I am now. So just to answer your question, recently, I forgot who I was talking to, but I realized that I took a lot of, I call them 10x jumps, right? 10x versus 2x, right? 2x is, you just working harder, but 10x, I totally transformed my routine and things that I did. I remember when I was in college, I got into college. And when I was in college, I remember the first thing I did, full transparency, is that I had a habit of doing certain things, right?
Yeah.
And once I ended up breaking that habit by the first month, and I think it was 2021 or 2022, the first month I stopped it for 30 days. I said 30 days, I'm not doing this. And I stopped it. It was something that I was doing on a very frequent basis. I stopped it.
Yeah.
Right. So when I stopped, I was like, man, this, like, it felt good to be able to take control of myself. Right. Then when I did that, that was one of the biggest moments that I had, just from a thing that I was able to put myself on this discipline. Right. Then I did something else where I began to it was something else that I did, but what I just want to say, just to kind of bring it home, is that what I learned is that when you can put yourself on those 7 day, 21 day, 30 day challenges to really be able to provide some level of discipline, has really shaped and shifted where I was and where I'm going, right, and who I am today. Like, just like full honesty, that's what I feel like has really been able to allow that. But how do you feel? Like, what do you feel like, kind of made a shift in, from your previous experiences?
Yeah. So, and we're talking about entrepreneurship, right? So, for me, it's just time, man.
Yeah.
Or you want to talking with a mentor a couple months ago. He was saying this actually was last summer. He was saying, man, we was outside. It was during the day. It was like 11 o'clock a.m.
Mhm.
Sunny outside. It was a nice day. He was like, man, we spend all our time at these jobs. They take all the beautiful hours in the day away from us, and we can't do nothing about it. Once we get off, we got 2 3 hours in the sun going down.
Mm.
And when he said that, I was like, this is like the very beginning of my entrepreneurship. Like when I really
Yeah.
realized, like, I want to do it. When he said that, I was like, yo, that's spot on.
Right.
From that day forward, it was just about freedom, like figuring out how I can have freedom, be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it, be healthy. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? 'Cause health is wealth, as the wealthy say. You know what I mean? So you know what I'm saying? Stay disciplined. You know what I
Right.
mean? In order to have freedom, you got to have some type of discipline. You got
Right.
to have extreme discipline at that. You know what I mean? Especially if you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to have some type of discipline, some type of drive, some type of resilience because obstacles are going to come.
Mm-hmm.
So all growing up, as you mentioned, playing sports, me being in the military, I faced adversity all my life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's nothing that I can't handle. You know what I mean? Everything that's thrown at me, I'll be able to handle it. And it's just as far as being an entrepreneur, you're gonna have things in life. You're gonna have low times. You're gonna have good times. But that goes back to what? Never let your highs get too highs. Never let your lows get too lows. And so being on the entrepreneurial space, it just opens up, especially since we're young, it opened up more time for us to be free and take that risk at an early age. So when we're older, we don't regret what we did. You know what I mean? And so that just started it for me. I mean, I don't know what inspired you to be an entrepreneur, but
Yeah.
we would love to hear it.
Yeah, nah, I think what you just mentioned was really good as far as what how you guys said, hey, I came outside, it's like this, it's going the light going down, right? And that's the truth. That's the reality, that's what's really going on. And I think about, like, just to kind of go back, when I was mentioning about discipline and about having those challenges for myself, I think how it shaped me from an entrepreneur standpoint is that I realized that at the end of the day, nobody can save you
Nope,
but
not
you.
one.
But you. That's
Yep.
it. Right? Because I think what shaped me is I'm gonna be honest, I've learned personalities and things of that nature. You start realizing psychology of people and whatnot. And I realized the more, I don't really like to accept this, I don't ever like to admit, but I'm the only child. Because when you mention to people you're the only child, they're like, oh, they start having these type of assumptions about you. And so I'm the only child. I mean, I got sisters, but they don't live in the same house as me as I grown up when I've grown up. So being that only child, I'm in my head a lot. You know what I mean? I'm in my head a lot about just myself, and just be honest with you, right? And so as doing that, when I was at school and stuff like that, you know, certain things shaped how I saw things, right? I end up putting on a different having different glasses and lens on how I saw the world simply because of my friends or other people that I'm encountering. And so because of that, I felt like, man, I'm like, I just realized what I liked from other people and what I didn't like. And I made a decision that, all right, I want to be able to make it, I want to be able to make a certain life for myself. And I think from an entrepreneur standpoint, I realized that entrepreneurship, I have all the control.
Mhm.
Nobody has I like no nobody can nobody can tell me I can't win. Nobody can tell me I can win. I can do that. Like,
Right.
I have all the control. When I realize that, when I'm listening to people and I'm realizing, oh, this is an entrepreneur, this person owned a place, but I also listen to my family and listen to other people. Like, man, I can't get off work this day, or I can't be able to go to your game. I can't be able to you know call out because my job gonna do this, but I hate my job at the same time. But I've been there for 20 years. I gotta be there for another 20 years. I'm like, why?
Right.
Sucks. You know what I mean? Everybody have their own experiences. Don't get me wrong. I respect everybody in their own position. However, there was a lot of negative influences to me personally about what people felt about their job.
Right.
I didn't want that. And I realized that I had complete, total control as an entrepreneur. And one thing that you mentioned, Lynn, is about risk, right? One thing we have right now it's time. When I speak with when I speak with clients, I always tell them that from a financial standpoint, you wanna ask yourself two questions, right? What is my time horizon, right? And what is my risk tolerance, right? My time horizon, how much time do I got left? Let's
Right.
be honest. The average life expectancy is 85. You might make 100 or plus if you're lucky. But what's my time horizon? We're pretty young. We still got a lot of life ahead of us, right? So from an investing standpoint, we got a lot. We can take a lot more risk if we invest in the market. We can put some money into something that's stocks and it's gonna, our money can possibly decline because we got to look. We can make up for those losses.
Right.
But from a standpoint of if I'm older, I can't do that. Now, from a we said that's the time horizon. But what's my risk tolerance? My risk tolerance is based off of that time horizon. So we play that in our life as a young man. We can take risks in entrepreneurship. Like my thing is when we talk about the American dream is freedom and ownership, right? I believe we have that opportunity because we live here. So now we can take advantage of that because we're young. We have that time ahead of us. We might as well take that risk to put it to see whatever we want to see out in front of us and go make it happen.
Right.
I don't know about you, but that's how these things shape me. And I feel like there's a lot of other factors that plays into being successful from an entrepreneurship standpoint, but just being successful period as a man. And I'm curious on what you got to say as far as adding on to what you feel like could be some pointers for us.
First, I want to say I know exactly where your entrepreneur journey started at. You told me this maybe last year. You was in sixth grade.
Mm-hmm.
You wrote down on the paper. What did you write? You remember what you wrote?
Uh, what I oh, it's either two. Are you talking about Miss Curtis or Miss Shorts?
Curtis.
Miss Curtis, yeah, I said I wrote a letter. I wrote an essay. I wrote an essay that I don't like being told what to do.
Exactly. So once you said that in sixth grade, man, that was like the beginning of the entrepreneur. You just didn't know it. But now, you know, now you're here. Now we're doing it, and let's just talk about like the space that we got ourselves in within the with the entrepreneur realm. So for me, I'm in government contracting. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's an industry that not a lot of people know about. Not a lot of people, they just never heard of it, or if they heard of it, they're scared of it because they hear that one word. What's that one word, Quest? Government. You hear government, you think, oh no.
Right.
But
But
the government is one of the best clients in the world. The government works with everybody. The government is willing to work with you, work with business, small business. I'm talking small businesses or business in general. They're willing to work for you. It's not like you have to go find the work because they're literally showing you the work. You just have to do the work. But that's what a lot of people run from, man. A lot of people run from the work. A lot of people don't want to put in the work. And if I learn anything in life, nothing works without work. You got to put in some type of work. You got to have some type of grind. You got to have some type of why. You got to have a why. You definitely got to have a why because
I want to
that's
talk
just
about that.
say that again.
I want to talk about that. I was going to ask you like what drives you, but continue. But I want to hear that. I want to hear like what really drives you.
You got to have a why, man, because a why is like your GPS in a way. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a why, where are you going, or
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing it for, or what's the goal? Like you got to have the type of why. So for me, I'm in month 9 of government contracting. It's been very rewarding. It's starting to pick up now as I'm getting closer to other people who have been doing it for 5 plus years, 10 plus years, and I'm getting under their wing. I'm learning everything that they can learn, and it's amazing to see because I'm always the youngest in the room, or we're always the youngest in the room because, as we mentioned, we're young entrepreneurs. We started at a very early age. We took that risk at an early age, and we're still going at it. And it's crazy, man. But it's all on faith, all on resilience, all on so many obstacles that we face. But we prevail each and every day. We get up and work out, work each and every day because we have that imagination. You know what I mean? We have that vision of where we want to go, how we want to do it, and nobody can tell us that we can't do it because we believe we can do it because nobody is coming to save us.
That's it. And
So
I think the main principle to understand is that there's something called an easy hard principle, right? I said if it's easy on the front end, it's gonna be hard on the back end. If it's hard on the front end, it's gonna be easy on the back end.
easier. I wouldn't say easy, but easier. You
Right.
think
Yeah. And that's the real that's real. That's true.
right.
You know what I mean? And like one thing I've learned is that there's there's principles about how to live. You got it, you have principles, but you also have patterns as well.
Mhm.
The principles that we see is going to show up again and again and again, no matter what area of life we looking at, right? But then also when you talk about, well, what drives you, then you also have your purpose, right? But then what keeps you going into your purpose is the passion behind it,
Right.
right? And so when you think about, okay, making sure I'm able to, and I'm speaking from a standpoint of us as young men, how do we able to continue to prevail? And we take ourselves, let's say for instance, Lynn, we talking to somebody that's going to take themselves out of a certain circumstance that they don't want to be in, right? To the standpoint where, when I mean a circumstance they don't want to be in, to the standpoint they got a certain lens on that they don't even notice that they don't even want to be there or they shouldn't be there.
It's foggy. They got a foggy lens.
It's foggy, right? To the standpoint that, okay, I'm moving from there to where I like, okay, I'm thriving, right? And so from here, it's saying, okay, I don't want to be here. So now I got to get a certain level of influence. We talked about that in the beginning. Your village, who you hang around, cool. And then the next thing is we get our leadership, and then we start realizing these principles from our leaders, right? You start realizing, you said your coach had mentioned that you never don't let your highs to get too high, don't let your lows get too low, right? So that's a principle. Now
Right.
you utilize that principle to say, okay, now let me just we talk about risk. So I want to sum it all together. Now we take our risk and we just try stuff. Let's be like, try it, right?
Yeah.
You play baseball, I play basketball. Then we say, okay, because I'm pretty sure at some point you was like, I'm about to go MLB. I pray at some point I was like, I'm going NBA, right?
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think about that, right? Then you say, all right, well, I want to do at some point I wanted to build this biggest marketing agency in the world. At some point I wanted to be a CPA. At some point I wanted to work for Deloitte to be to do consulting, right?
Yeah.
That's okay, right? But then you start to realize, okay, I'm searching out for my purpose. You start figuring out that purpose, and then you start figuring that, bringing in that passion. Then that's when you hit the ground running. Now I want to ask you a question, man, because when you think about a lot of guys, when you start to get a little bit of momentum going, because that's
Motion.
another piece, that motion, little motion,
Slow
right?
motion. Yeah.
Let's talk about it, because me and you, we're fairly successful in what we're doing, right? But now is, how do we take that next step? And it's a man-to-man conversation, so we letting y'all in into our regular conversations. We just say that
It's normal.
it's normal. So we now we say the motion. Now a lot of times, just for a lot of people, comes every time you try to follow yourself with intention, here comes distraction.
Right.
What a distraction is, guess what that is? A lot of time it's women,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I want to ask you, how do you continue on your purpose, and how do you put your purpose over a partner? When I say a partner, I mean an intimate relationship.
Right. Quiz, that's a tough question. I would definitely say it would have to be, if you have a purpose, right?
Mhm.
You have to you have to fulfill, I feel like you have to be on the way to fulfill your purpose first. And then if you have a partner, then they should be able to follow after you, maybe, or understand what your purpose is, because at the same time they should have a purpose as well.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So maybe just understanding each other,
Mhm.
understanding what it takes. It's not going to just be peaches and cream. It's gonna be some rough days. It's gonna be some good days. But
Right.
just having that purpose, because if you're living in your purpose, if both of you are living in your purpose, then eventually, I feel like it should merge together. You'll have that mutual understanding of what it really takes. But
Yeah.
you also have to have discernment in knowing that some things can really take a toll on you, or it really can throw you off track. But
Mm-hmm.
that's something you have to have within yourself, knowing what is good for you, what is not, what is good for you, what's not good for you.
Mm.
But there's always gonna be distractions. But you gotta, like I said, you gotta have that discernment in knowing what the distraction is, because some distractions come looking good, but you don't know it until you in too deep.
Oh, do.
You know what I mean? And you don't know it till you in too deep. So
Right.
it's just a matter of knowing what your purpose is, what you're going towards, and knowing if this can throw you off, or if this can throw you off, or if it's gonna help you become better. Because if
Mm.
you have a partner, they naturally should help you become better. It shouldn't be no, it shouldn't just be a downfall immediately. You know what I mean? It should be, if
Yeah.
anything, thriving
Right.
together. So that's a tough question. Yeah, let's you answer that.
Yo.
That's a tough one.
So I remember speaking to one of my business partners one day, and he said, like a guy asked him, he said, "Man, where does your confidence come from? Like, how are you just so confident?" And he said, like he was confused about a question, like, what do you mean? Right. But he told him, he said the reason why actually you don't have the confidence is because you're not tapped into the source, right? And so the
Right.
source allows you to it fuels everything, right? And so what I mean, the source is the word. You think about God, you think about the word of God, you think about the Bible, you think about the faith aspect, right?
Yeah.
Right? We talking about principles that we throwing in. Well, that faith is one of them. When we talk about being successful as a man, as an entrepreneur,
Faith.
faith is one of them for sure,
Faith.
right? And so I got to the point where every time I had a question like this, to where I didn't really understand where to go, I go back to my faith.
Right.
Then when I plugged that in, I started to realize, okay, now I kind of, yeah. So it's crazy. I'm listening to this guy, right? And he said some very profound stuff. Now I don't know how you may feel about this. I don't know how other guys may feel about this, but he said that when you are in a relationship with someone, that you could, when the moment that you get intimate is the moment that a lot of times your vision, you actually just said that, you said your vision gets foggy. And next thing you know, you can't, everything looks good. Everything feels right. Right? I'm gonna make a decision now because, oh, matter of fact, I think she is a good woman. Right? You know what I'm saying? But here's why he said that. You talked about we talked about another thing of balance, right? Now the question, does balance really exist?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think I think it's a yes and a no, right? I think the balance doesn't exist from a standpoint as an even 50-50. But check this out. He said that from a standpoint of emotion. So when we think about us as human beings, there's always two sides, right? We got our emotional side, we got a logical side. We already know that, but basically what he was saying is that in that intimate setting, we once we get intimate, it becomes 80% emotional, 20% logic.
Right.
Once your vision gets foggy, right? And but before that, is more of like, okay, I can think emotional, more along that 50-50 line of emotional and logic. And so to kind of tie back around to what we're talking about, when we say, okay, well, how do I put my purpose over my partner,
Hmm.
is understanding that it from a source standpoint, we got to put the faith first to know that my purpose has to be priority from a man standpoint. Okay, now once I know that's priority, then I have to stay focused on intention and ignore distraction. If you're in your purpose, you will know, okay, this lines up with the intentions that I'm following. You see what I'm saying? Now, if it doesn't line up, meaning that girl ain't the girl, she don't line up to things that follow along your purpose,
Yeah.
she gotta go. Right?
Yeah.
Because the moment you get into that other realm of things, now you that's where the distraction becomes, because now your vision foggy. Now you start to do some things that you wasn't supposed to do. I'm glad we having this conversation, because I think that a lot of young men, can be fairly successful, but it always that one little vice that come along the way, and can sweep us up and kind of just distract us from what's the ultimate goal. So I feel
Yeah,
like
that's
that's real.
there's to me there's multiple distractions that come your way when you're trying to go where you're trying to go.
Yeah, that's
And it's
true.
a lot of times it's things that you've outgrown that always try to come back. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like
That's good.
it's a lot of things that you can get over, but as soon as you're elevating, they come back and try to creep right back on you, try to attach right onto you. But it's just so when you're transitioning from your old life to your new life.
Mm.
When you transition from your old life to your new life, everything's gonna come after you because you're doing something that you've never done before.
Oh my God, that's good.
You know what I mean? You're not the same Linux. You're not the same Quez. You Linux times 10. You Jaquez times 10. You know what I mean? Like you transition your whole life, so you gotta move different. You gotta do different things. But those distractions are always gonna be there. But it's tunnel vision. Stay
Kind of.
focused. Stay on your purpose. You gotta have a why. You know what I mean? Like, because if you have your why, you'll be like, you'll see that vice or whatever that's trying to come
Mhm.
back at you, and you'll be like, nah, bro, like we can't do that no more. I'm a new person. I'm a new man.
Right.
So it's all about identifying what's going to be beneficial to you and your purpose. You gotta obviously know your why, and so that's going to lead to, in my mind, in my vision, that's going to lead to wealth. So
Yeah.
health is wealth. The wealthy always say that. So I mean, we just have to do the things that the wealthy do. If you want to be wealthy, do what the wealthy do. I was listening to Marvin Golden last weekend. He was saying, and it's so simple. It might sound crazy, but it's so simple. If you want to be if you want to be like the wealthy, find out where the wealthy shop, find out where the wealthy eat, find out where the wealthy read. Just find out what the wealthy do and literally imitate that.
That's
If they're
good.
doing it, then why not do it? And then eventually you can be wealthy as well. So follow, or you can. How can you say this? I was gonna say, just follow what's already been done. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? If somebody's already been along that path, you might as well follow it, because you might not have the same path, but you can have the same principles to get to your path.
Yeah.
And so it's just like that's that's entrepreneurship, that's life, that's everything involved in doing what we're trying to do.
Hmm.
Always constant learning. And one last thing, Quez, this I know this is your specialty, because whenever we go out, we go to events. We're always, like I said, we're always the youngest in the room. But your communication,
Hmm.
communication is always what's the how they be? You know what I mean? Like it's just it's just top tier. You know what I mean? When people talk to you, and then because even I'll be shocked. I'll be like, dang, Quiz, like yo, like this is amazing, man. Like you be inspiring me when you be talking. So just give a taste of like communication and how big communication is in the entrepreneurial space, and also in your field of finance.
Yeah. You just like, I done messed up so many times. I done been trembling, scared out my pants, nervous so many times. You remember when we went to that fashion show and I got up?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I was like, oh, I want to talk about, nobody want to talk about their business. I want to talk about my business. And
Right.
I started talking. That was the beginning, just to be honest with you, because I put myself out there.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Dr. C said, hey, let's hop on a podcast. Let's do it.
Straight up.
Right? Like, like any opportunity I got to, because here's how I see things. Exactly what you just said. When it comes to successful people, growing up, I studied them. I just got
Yeah.
admired to them. I said, I like what he's doing. I don't like what he's doing. It was literally just that simple. I started to study these people. I like how LeBron James' work ethic is. I don't like so and so, right? This is how I'm seeing things, right? But what I realized from a just to get from a communication standpoint is that when we say entrepreneurship, when we say life, when we say as a man, like there are certain things that certain principles that you or certain skills that you need. Well, communication is one of them for sure. And I realized, man, if I can talk to anybody, you know how much power I got,
What?
right? And so we might as well get into this. Martin Golden says the 4 levels of value,
Yeah.
right? We talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about not entrepreneurship. Well, let's break down on what do I mean by the 4 levels of value. Well, think about this. Everyone, I want y'all to listen. We're gonna close this out, but I really want y'all to hear this out, right? When you think about you going into an aspect of implementation, right? This is the lowest level of value. This is you waking up every single day, you're going to a job and you're using your hands to work. That spectrum of the amount of money that you can make is between $0 to probably 80,000 a year. Think about that. I want y'all to all think about who else do you know that works with their hands that makes more than 80,000 a year. Very few. If they do, it's less than 150,000. But then the next level of value is the second level for implementation. Now we got at the unification. Unification, these are people that are managers, right? People that manage people as far as groups. Now, these people, they manage people. So what that looks like is they probably make 80,000 to maybe 200, $250,000 a year, right? Now, once you got those people that are managing people, now you move up. Now you got communication. Communication is these are your singers. These are Beyonce. These are your anchors on TV. These are all these type of people that utilize their mouth to speak. Your salesmen, right? Sales guys, car salesmen, whoever they is, they're using their mouth to speak because they have the gift of gab. Every time they speak, they're able to move somebody. We talk about emotional. When the words have power to it. We say principles. One of the principles is your word is your bond. Your word is truth. Your word is your word, right? And that word is so powerful. So if we stop just there from a communication standpoint, as soon as I realized that, and I realized how bad I sucked at it, I said, hold up. I want to focus on this and I want to get better at it. But I learn, I read, I continuously read about communication. Then I realized I still sucked at it, right? I still got nervous at it. But then when I put myself out there to start to go speak to people, I went to networking events by myself.
Yeah.
I'm talking to people by myself. I'm standing up talking to people, like talking, trembling, young. I'm always the youngest person in the room. But as I'm doing this, I'm realizing I'm getting better and better and better. You know, just to kind of end it off on this, when we talk about discipline as well, think about it like a snowball, right? When we was in Colorado, when we in Colorado and we see all the snow everywhere, when we wake up the next morning, so, when the sun came out, all the snow that was on the ground, flat on the ground, it dried up. But the snowballs, they didn't, right? If you got a huge snowball after it just snowed, or you built a snowman,
Yeah.
that one ball in the middle at the end, it's the last thing to melt. Well, why is that? Because when you can put snow on top of snow on top of snow on top of snow, and you can pack it together over time and just keep stacking it up, compounding it,
And stacking them wins.
stacking them wins, stacking them daily, the winning your mornings every single morning, winning your days every single day. When you can go out and mess up, I was going to say the wrong word. If we mess up,
Yeah.
speaking in public every time you go out, and the next thing you know, you getting better. You reading the book every single day, you reading the word every single day, you just naturally it's gonna pick up. And once you pick up, that snowball is so compact together, it's gonna take a lot to tear it down. Because you got that momentum, you got that discipline, you done took that risk, you done understood the patterns, you done learned the leadership, you done got communication. Everything we just talked about is all compact up in that snow. And man, it's gonna take a lot of light. It's gonna take a lot of sunlight, whatever it is, to come break you down. And you're gonna have to, maybe you miss one day, but if you can continue to pick it back up, nothing's gonna stop that big motion, that momentum. I'm telling you that.
Yes, sir. I love that, man. That's a great example. Just remember, guys, discipline, I always say, is key. Having that resilience and always having your why. Thank you for tuning in tonight. This is the Game Plan.